Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal peoples of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which we record this podcast, and pay my respects to the elders both past and present. Hi everyone, I'm Tahnee Cook and welcome to my podcast, Chuffed. Some of you may know me as the girl who got married to a stranger on TV, which thankfully worked out, and now I'm here chatting with you all on my podcast. And you're probably wondering what this podcast is about. Chuffed is your unfiltered safe space for all things love, career and life. Join me each week as we unpack relationships and dating, a dash of pop culture, and have fun conversations with cool people. So this is part 2 of my chat with Alyssa. It's a bit of a long one, but as you guys requested, I kept it all in this final part for you. We'll continue on our conversation about Alyssa's experience during MAFS, why she chose to stay at the final vows, and how she feels about Evelyn and Duncan's relationship. I also wanted to disclose a trigger warning for this episode as we do touch on some topics around mental health. I hope you enjoy our chat and ask you to please keep an open mind when it comes to hearing Alyssa's experience. Let's do it. So let's get into couple swap, wife swap, because I feel like, again,
what did they call it in the experiment?
I think it was finding perspectives or something. It was something about getting perspectives from
getting
another
perspective from an outsider.
Yeah,
but it's like wife swap.
I think that was another, like, that week of episodes was another pretty intense one for you. I feel like they painted you to look like unreasonable, to be ungrateful, all of these things coming back. And I think we want to provide some context of, again, where your headspace was at, why you were feeling like the way you were at that time. I also, personally, I would not have liked to come home to receive half-naked or semi-seductive photo of Ollie that another woman had taken with my stuff. I personally wouldn't like that. I knew on a bed. I understand the thought process going to something like that, like cute, quirky, whatever, but I think it really depends on the person you're giving it to and if they would appreciate something like that. I knew straight away Alyssa wouldn't. I also wouldn't appreciate that, especially knowing the insecurities leading up to that point with Evelyn and how you were feeling about the relationship. I don't think maybe their intent was to kind of make you feel a type of way, but it just felt poor taste to me.
I don't know what their intent was, man. It's just like, if that wasn't their intent, in what mind frame are you thinking your girlfriend / wife is gonna love me taking sexy photos of you on the bed half naked? Huh?
Yeah.
Like, what, in what world is that okay? Like, imagine if you're married in real life and a hot girlfriend comes over and then you get home and they're like, oh, look at all these sexy photo shoots we just had. I would have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Which is exactly how I reacted. And so one thing that, again, wasn't shown is when we were getting ready to leave, because we opened the paper and they're like, yep, okay, Alyssa's going with Cam, Evelyn's coming over. And I was like, at that point, I didn't really feel anything, but I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. Like, why wouldn't they just have, like, Lyndall? Like, why wasn't, like, a direct swap?
The only direct swap was obviously Mel Leighton, Harrison Bronte, and all of us were shuffled around. Couldn't understand why.
Weird. And so producers were like, talk about, like, what the sleeping situation's going to be. And I was like, well, she's not sleeping in my bed. And he's like, well, where else do you expect her to sleep? I was like, what? And I was like, well, she can sleep in the bed and you can sleep on the couch. And he's like, but the couch is uncomfortable. And I was like, so where do you want her to sleep? He's like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, what do you mean, what am I going to do? I'm talking about you and Evelyn right now. He's like, well, what do you think the right thing is to do? And he was like turning it back on me. And I'm like, answer the question. It's a yes or no question. Like, where are you guys going to sleep? We had a full fight for 20 minutes, which is, of course, not shown. But after, what they do show is when him saying, how much are you going to miss me? And I was like, we'll see. Yeah. And then I got slaughtered for that.
Yes.
I'm like, you just wanting to tell me that you wanted to share a bed with Evelyn.
And then obviously you're going to react in that way.
And then how am I meant to, like, I'm already feeling a type of way. And then how am I meant to feel? Like, oh, it made me so angry. Like, just so, like, and you know what's telling of this is that as soon as I moved in with Cam's like, Alyssa, you have the bed, I'm going to sleep on the couch. And I was like, it was instant. And I was like,
not even a discussion. Like, I got in there, Rupert was like, I'm going to wash the sheets for you. Like, I'm going to put the stuff on the, like, straight away. It didn't even have to be a whole thing. Like, I found it bizarre that they were trying to get content out of that situation. Like,
made me sick. I'm like, do you think it's which is funny that there's a little reel that popped up on my feed the other day that's like, do you think sharing a bed with
from the Logies? Yes. Yeah, I saw that.
Do you think sharing a bed with somebody who's not your partner is cheating? Evelyn's smart because she probably thought of this instance that happened, and she's like, oh, I don't think it's cheating. Duncan's like, it's cheating. Okay, so you were
then
just
why
about
were
to
you
cheat.
trying to, why were you trying to then sleep in the bed with her?
It makes me sick. And the other
That's
thing,
a little slip of the media trading, I'd say.
the other thing I don't like is I think I saw them like reenact their interaction when Evelyn came in the door, when they did like that awkward hug, and like they reenacted it. I feel like it was on Janelle's TikTok. Janelle, I love you, but like I think they reenacted, like they were like pretending to like awkward hug, but you could tell they liked each other.
Oh,
it was
what?
it was the fucking weirdest thing. And I'm like, are you guys saying you did the awkward hug on purpose because you did like each other? Like it was weird. You need to watch it.
I just feel a type of way about that couple swap, and I think, yeah, it just doesn't sit right with me. I feel it's just,
And I think it needs to be said that like Evelyn and I were friends at this point.
100%.
Evelyn and I were
thought
friends.
I was friends with Evelyn too, so
There was we've talked about the divide in the girl group, and Evelyn was kind of like in our divide of the girl group. She was.
I want to
always
just
in our
I
group.
want to share the context with the divide. So obviously, I don't know if this my theory with the divide within the girls. I think because obviously at the time you and Duncan were pretty happy. I was pretty happy with Ollie. Mel and Leighton were a bit on and off, but they were quite happy. And I feel like maybe that contributed to a reason why we potentially were excluded from the other girls that maybe weren't having that same experience with their partners.
Yeah.
But
Because we spoke about that. You and I shared a cab on the way to a commitment ceremony, and you were like, I'm feeling left out. And I was like, me too.
Yep.
And I was like, is it because like we're just in like good relationships that like they don't think to invite us? But I was like, I'm feeling left out as well. Like the whole tattoo crew, I felt so excluded. I will say afterwards, like they did come out and say like we never meant
it wasn't the intention.
It wasn't the intention, and I get that. I don't think it was ever malicious or ever vindictive, but I definitely did feel left out. I did. I was like, why aren't you guys inviting me? Like
what's going on?
Yeah.
But
so Evelyn was definitely part of our friend
Yes,
group though.
yeah.
So her and I were definitely friends, messaging on the reg, and so after wife swap, okay, so if we want to go back to wife swap, after the 3 days of wife swap, to put a bit more context in it as well, every weekend I go home to see Leon. This was a Saturday.
Yep.
They had told me that I would be wrapped up filming at 12 o'clock.
Yep.
So I told my mom I'll be home 12 o'clock to pick up Leon, my 3-year-old. And they're like, yep, no problem. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I was messaging Duncan, and I was like, I know they're going to want us to hash things out right now, but like I have got to go home and get Leon, like please, like I really want to leave. I don't, and this was like a real life situation, right? That we would have had as a break in our communication of Leon being my first priority. I really wanted to sit down and to work things out with Duncan, but I needed to go pick up Leon. Yeah. So we needed to take a pause in that conversation in order for me to go pick up Leon. And so he knew that. Yeah. Production knew that. Everyone knew that I was 5 hours late and that I was furious because I'm like,
we were all
you guys
furious.
broke a promise. You broke a promise to me. I'm now late to pick up my child, which is I already had all these feelings and guilt about me leaving Leon already. And so I go in and, we're kind of talking about it. I read him my honesty letter, which I will say again, I think it was hurtful for me to say that he will never understand, because that kind of alluded to the fact that he's never going to have children. So I definitely wish I would have articulated that better and saying, maybe it's hard for you to understand what I'm going through having a child because you don't have one right now. I did want to integrate him into that life. But I do really regret those specific words, because I think that was really hurtful for a lot of other people, not only Duncan. So I definitely do regret saying that. And then, after I read him this really heartfelt letter of me like spilling my guts about everything, about, my insecurities, about us not having talked about the outside world and how it's going to look, like even schedule wise or any of that kind of stuff. Like, and then he's like, well, I guess now is the time for me to give you my present. And I was like, well, that was a bit awkward, but okay, we're not going to talk about this.
Brush over that.
And then he rolls out this photo of himself. And he was like, at first he was like, oh, I decided to give you something, everything you love in one picture. So I was like, oh, he'd like, did he get Leon to write me a letter or something? And then it's a picture of himself. And I was like, so many things going through my mind where I was like, who the fuck took this? 1. 2, you're straddling my KitchenAid, which is just a bit like a bit unsanitary as well. Like, where's the bleach? Like, I bake and cook with that, and it was just not sitting right with me. I was like, so you're telling me that what you have to show for the last 3 days is a sexy photo shoot of you half naked on our bed, and Evelyn's taking this photo. How am I meant to feel about this? Yeah. And then the fact that he cried afterwards.
Like knowing the situation.
Production tried, I want to read those messages actually, because production tried to get me to say, okay, can you just get up and walk out? And I was like, no, I'm getting up and walking out because I need to go pick up Leon.
Yeah.
And they're like, but can't you just like get up and walk out? And I was like, I know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
I need to go see my child. And that's probably why I said child so much, because they kept trying to get me to do other things. And I was like, I'm not leaving because I'm leaving the conversation. I'm leaving to get my child.
Which
you guys are trying to paint me
promised
of
me,
being
yeah.
like just running away from everything,
Yeah.
when I actually have other responsibilities bigger than this fucking show.
And especially like not forgetting, guys, like that was our day off. So
Yes.
we
We
were
never
having our
filmed
day
on
off to film.
Saturdays.
It was annoying. Like I think I got back to my room like super late and I was pissed off about it. So
Yeah.
I could just imagine where you were at in that moment. And it just was, I felt like it was unfair knowing the circumstances and all that context missing.
So unfair.
It's
And
unfair.
the other thing is, if you felt upset, tell me you're upset. Tell me what I did wrong so I can fix it and so I don't have to do it again. Which is why I want to read these messages, because I messaged him the second that I left, okay? And he had ample time to be like, hey, you know, I really want to talk about this. It made me feel really uneasy. I felt really, really rejected. We had very open communication in order. I thought that we had a very safe space to discuss our feelings and discuss our emotions. And I will say as well, is one of the first things that we kind of spoke about off camera was he's like, hey, let's just make sure that we never blindside each other on the couch.
Yes.
He's like, I really want to make sure that we never blindside each other on the couch. We're always on the same page. And week after week after week, I was hearing brand new information of how he was feeling.
Yeah.
And he would throw me off. And I was like, what happened to not blindsiding each other on the couch? And just like rereading this when I'm like sending him like, let's go to like this gin night. And it was like a few weeks after Final Vows. He's like, yeah, let's definitely go. Like literally making plans with me after knowing that. That's what I want to know is like, when did you know, Duncan? When did you know? Because to me, I felt like I was really led on.
Yeah, I agree.
If I was really that awful and if I was really that shit,
yeah.
why didn't you ever tell me?
Or communicate to anyone else.
Or communicate to anyone else. So I sent to him, I left at 5:30 and I sent him this message at 5:43. I know the narrative they are trying to play on me and I'm so over it, Duncan. I'm not over you. I'm just fucking over production. Hey, it takes an hour and a half to respond. Thank you for telling me that. It's obviously really hard for both of us. I hope we can work through everything. X. I said, sorry, that sounded really harsh for me because I just wanted to send it to you so you don't think I was leaving you like that. I hope we can work through everything too. She literally wanted me to get up and leave like I was leaving you when I was just going to go home to get Leon. Then it took him 4 hours to respond. Don't worry about production. It's just me and you. We know what's real. I hope you can enjoy your weekend and we can chat Monday and chat over the weekend. I said, I miss you. I know it's confusing and I'm really scared, but I'm just over production. I feel like when it's me and you, it's just me and you. He said, I miss you too. It is confusing, but I'm still feeling positive about the future. There's just things we need to work through. So after that weekend, right? Oof, emotions. After that weekend, I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask him if we can leave together. Like say, fuck production, because I knew what they were trying to do, and leave together. And so we went for a walk in Barangaroo. And I told him, I was like, I'm so over it. I know, like, they're trying, I kind of, as much as I was shocked about the edit, I was like, no way are they going to do that to mom. They're going to show me as, like, this strong, independent, put her child first, know what she wants, has had a bit of trauma, but working through that, has a great guy with great communication, emotionally intelligent. We don't really know. But, so I told him, I said, you know, what do you think about like you and I just leaving the experiment together? Like, fuck production. If this is really me and you and this is real, let's leave. And he's like, okay. And then he did the whole like thinking face.
Looking up things.
And he's like, oh, actually, like, what about the contracts? Like, what would they do with our edit? What would they do with the contracts? He's like, he's like, I'll support you through all of this. You know, I don't want you to ever be blindsided or feel hurt by production. I'm going to start sticking up for you. And then, you know, we can get through this together and we'll come out on the other side.
Fast forward to now. Let's see how that went.
Fast forward to now. Yeah. So yeah, wife swap was definitely a catalyst. I get a lot of questions asking, do you think their relationship happened at wife swap? I think their connection happened before wife swap. And I think wife swap just kind of cemented it even more. There were rumors around, you know, if they'd hooked up at wife swap or something. It just makes me sick to even think about. I hope that's not the case. But in saying all of that, I am happy. I genuinely am happy for them. I think they are a perfect match. Duncan had never dated anybody my age. He's always dated, 30 and younger. So that was like a big thing for him, I think, to have somebody a bit more like with a child and a bit more, I don't want to say responsibilities because I don't want to take that away from anybody that's younger. But I just don't think he had ever dated anybody with a child or that's kind of had a past like mine.
Yeah. So I think we do get into it. Obviously, Duncan and Evelyn, we should talk about it.
Let's get into it.
And I guess the reason why I wanted to bring Alyssa on, because I've always been a supporter of Alyssa from like day dot.
Yeah.
Like constantly.
You started the free Alyssa
I started
movement.
it. I was like, I'm just not copying this. Copying this for her. I feel like anytime I would share things about Alyssa, I would also cop hate. So I couldn't even imagine what she would experience. And I just found it so disgusting. So how I'm involved in this is that I was the one to tell Alyssa about Evelyn and Duncan.
Spoiler alert. I always tell everyone there was somebody, and I always kept you very private because I didn't want to out you, but it was Tahnee that came to me and told me about Duncan and Evelyn's relationship.
So how that came about was, it was really hard. I'd obviously heard through a couple of whispers that they were together, and I was a bit like, oh, okay, not really sure what to do with information. I think I sat with it for a couple of weeks because I felt like it wasn't really my place to share that. However, we were coming up to an event that we were all going to be attending together. It was the Nova dinner party. And I knew me and Alyssa were chatting about it.
Fitzy and Whipper's dinner party.
Yep. And obviously everyone was going. And I was like,
including me. I was meant to go.
Including Alyssa.
There was a lot of people that I saw in the comments that are like, oh, obviously Alyssa's not there. She's with her child. I was meant to go, guys.
Yep, she was invited. Yep.
I just was not mentally well enough to be in that position. So I was like, I'll take myself out of that position because I'm not okay.
And I was like, I cannot have Alyssa come to this event with everyone else knowing that they're together and she doesn't know. And then they're going to be there together. It's going to be a weird vibe. Like, I couldn't live with myself knowing that. And I already felt so bad for knowing it for so long and not telling her. But I was really struggling with the fact that it's like, surely Evelyn's going to say something. Surely they're going to tell her. And I gave it 3 weeks, bro. Like, I was like, surely you're going to know about it. And I'd constantly be like, slyly messaging you if you knew anything, and I was like, okay, she obviously doesn't know about this at all. And I felt like I had to tell Alyssa because I felt so bad about it, and I knew that she would not react in, like, I knew you were going to be fine with it, but it was more the respect of letting her know.
Respect, man.
Because I think in the outside world, apart from being MAFS, apart from being in the public eye, you probably wouldn't necessally need to know what your ex is doing. Of course.
I said that on my stories the other day. I was like, let me just get this clear. I would never expect an ex of mine to be like, hey, by the way, I have a new girlfriend. Like, it's great. Good for you. Here's your trophy. But the fact that we were in this experiment together and we were in the same friend group. If your friend starts dating your ex, you would think that they would reach out to you and say, hey, by the way, just like, and I'll throw myself under the bus on this one, just like Duncan did to me and Josh on Ollie's podcast, trying to deflect from his own answer. Thank you. That was not really your information to share, but thanks for sharing it, Duncan. When Josh and I were kind of exploring an idea of, taking a relationship further, which Josh and I are just friends now. We had one date. I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to tell Melissa it's the right thing to do. Am I close with Melissa? No. But do I consider her a friend? Absolutely. And I would rather her hear it from me than to read it in some Daily Mail headline.
Totally.
So I told Josh, hey, I'm going to tell Melissa. He's like, cool, I'm going to tell Duncan. I was like, sweet.
That's it.
That's a respectful thing to do.
And I understand Duncan not telling you because you guys weren't on the best talking terms, but I was really shocked that Evelyn completely ghosted you and didn't tell you anything. And I support Alyssa with that because after the experiment, I had reached out multiple times. We hung out once after the experiment and was hearing all this stuff she was saying about me behind my back. I tried to get to the bottom of it through other people and was just being told all these other things. And then obviously now I know she seems to have a problem with me that she just doesn't like me, which is fine, but I don't appreciate not doing something to someone and then them having such a strong, nasty opinion of me and then spreading that to other people.
It's not right.
Yeah, and then just also
for what?
Making me distance my other friendships on the show with other people and kind of, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I feel like the cherry on top was this whole thing with Alyssa, that she was so close with, like, it's like, regardless, you guys were friends, you were close.
She messaged me the day of our final vows. Good luck to you and Dunks today. Rooting for you guys. Emoji with hearts.
Yeah.
And then I think I had said in the girls chat that like he had dumped me or whatever. And then I messaged her the morning of.
I think she left that group chat because she didn't want to be.
She
Remember,
did,
she left
yes,
it? Yeah.
but she left it after. This was after final vows.
Okay.
So I didn't respond to her on final vows. And then I messaged her at reunion, December 16th. Babe, where are you? Are you okay? Because remember, she was super late at publicity day.
She didn't turn up to the publicity day because she had, I don't know if we'll share this, but maybe we won't share that.
She didn't respond. And then Thursday, 26th of Jan, I said, babe, I've been thinking of you. How have you been? You need to come back to the group chat. No response. So the last thing she said was, good luck to you and Dunks today. Rooting for you guys.
And that's the last message you've ever received from her.
That's the last message I ever received for her.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I think, you know, and I've said this to Alyssa many times, if Evelyn had come to Alyssa and was like, babe, I really, really like Duncan. I want to pursue something with him. I know we probably can't be friends after this, but I want to just let you know.
What? If she would have done that, I still would have been friendly. 100%. I would have been like, go for it, babe. You guys are perfectly matched together. Like, if you could find love out of this experiment,
amazing.
I'm so here for it. But the fact that the respect was never given to me, but it was given to Rupert. And I think Duncan said on Ollie's podcast, oh, you know, Rupert and Ev's relationship wasn't really real on the
because Evelyn never gave Rupert a chance.
But like, and then what's that saying about our relationship? Does that mean our relationship wasn't really real either, and that's why you don't respect me enough to give me the heads up? Sorry, that's not okay. It's not okay. So I do want to say thank you for you telling me. I kind of had a gut feeling about it.
Yeah.
But when you told me, I was like, I knew it. I just wish I would have heard it from somebody else.
As well, like, Alyssa didn't, like, on our hand on heart, she did not say anything negative. She was like, oh, you know what, like, sucks, like, that they couldn't tell me, but I'm happy for them. Yes. Genuinely, you said you were happy for them. That was the first thing that you said to me. Yes. And I was even a bit shocked. I was like, oh, okay, wow, like, wow.
Because, like, everyone deserves to have love. And if they have found that,
amazing.
Why wouldn't I be happy? Like, I'm not going to get bitter because he wasn't my person and he's moved on.
Yeah.
Like, that's not why I'm bitter. I'm bitter because they didn't have enough respect for myself and our relationship to tell me. It's just like, it's just a shitty thing to do.
They were literally just going to expect her to find out on that weird Channel 9 relationship announcement thing. That is how they would have expected you to find out. The disrespect of that, I just can't comprehend, like, how nasty that is for someone to find out that way, and then you set up a 60-minute style interview, like, to announce it. Like, I think that's in poor taste, personally. Yeah, I was really, really disappointed from the both of them, because I think, obviously, you want to be happy for people, but I think I can't bring myself to be happy for people that step on people to get to where they want to be, lie, treat people with disrespect. I just
talk behind people's backs.
Talk behind people's backs. I find it really hard to be supportive of that.
Same.
And it's hard. It's really hard because, you know, we want to celebrate love. We want to celebrate connections, and that's what the whole show is meant to be about. And whether you find that outside, fine. But I think just having that level of respect is quite important to me. And to then, I think it's quite sneaky to then just, like, ghost you and not say anything to you and then act as if, like, you were never friends, that she didn't owe you that. And then I've heard that apparently she's wanted to stick by Duncan because he wasn't talking to you. Doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Had separate relationships.
If she's going to be a girl's girl, which is what she was on the show.
What she portrayed to be on the show.
What she portrayed to be on the show was a girl's girl, always, like, you know, sticking it to Harrison and, like, spitting the hard truths and spitting the facts. Where was that respect for me when we were friends?
Well, that's what I feel like. I had that perception of Evelyn, that she would call things out, be direct with you, be honest with you. But then when I found out she couldn't come to me and tell me she had a problem with me, or come and be direct with me, when that's what she was trying to be.
It's very strategic.
It seemed very strategic to me because I couldn't understand it. To then do all this kind of shadow work in the back and, you know, be sabotaging things for people. Like, I can't with that energy. It's just really uncomfortable, and I feel like I've been scared to, like, talk about it because we know how much you guys love them. We know how much you guys support them, and I feel like me being like, oh, well, my experience with her, I feel like I have a bit of bad taste in my mouth now. I feel like no one's going to
trolled.
believe me. I feel like people's going to be like, oh, you're just jealous. You're just this. And that is just
it's not
the case.
It's
not the case.
We're just, and that's the thing. That's why like I kind of started out with like, I'm not being victim mentality. It's just, this is the truth.
Yeah.
This is the truth. This is how I feel. We are allowed to say how we feel. We're allowed to say what we went through. We're allowed to give context to the experience because that's what happened.
Yeah.
The other thing that a lot of people kept messaging me about as well recently is that, you know, Josh had it in him where he went out and publicly said, you know, please stop bullying Melissa. Uzi from Love Island just recently came out and posted and said, please stop bullying Katie. Like, this has nothing to do with Katie. Yeah. Every single person on our season, bar 2, came out with a free Alyssa movement, except him. That is literally all he had to do was say, hey guys, please stop sending Alyssa death threats. Please stop finding her phone number online and saying she's a worthless piece of shit and a bad mother and she feels sorry for her son. I could not explain to you these messages that I was receiving from total strangers that are obviously Team Duncan. All he had to do to help that, to make that stop, was say, please stop.
Yeah.
The fact that he never did speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes. I get a lot of comments like, oh, you know, has he messaged you afterwards? He has messaged me afterwards, but is it just so he could say, I tried to message her?
100%.
Hey, what can I do for you? Well, I'm getting fucking bullied and I'm getting trolled and people are going to say that they're going to come kill me. Oh, I'm really sorry. Like, say something about it. Do you want me to spell it out for you? Like, then it's not genuine and it's not truthful. Like, it's not authentic. Again, authentic. Like, it's not authentic. Like, he it frustrates me so bad because I know these trolls are so team him. And it's just, say something.
Yeah.
I never in a billion years would want people to receive the messages that I received.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something. If I hadn't gone through 20 years of therapy to this point, 100% I wouldn't be here.
A note which I feel is just so gross is people being like, she needs therapy. It's like,
I love it.
First of all, what is wrong with people getting therapy? Number one.
Normalize therapy.
Like,
people.
everyone needs therapy.
Everyone should go. I say this all the time. Going to therapy is like going to the gym for your brain.
Yeah. 100%.
And if I had not gone to therapy and will still continue to go to therapy for the rest of my life, even if nothing is wrong, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been strong enough to be. I was in such a dark place, man. I was so afraid to leave my house for fear that somebody was going to notice me, take a photo of me, take a photo of Leon, do anything.
It's awful.
It is the worst thing in the entire world. And that's why I went fucking rogue and I started speaking out about this shit because what production has done with the manipulation and the tactics that they use to tear somebody down and to twist a narrative is disgusting. And someday they're going to do it to somebody and that person's not going to be strong enough to handle it.
Yeah, it's going to be taken too far. And we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen overseas,
a lot,
guys.
So often.
And I would argue, like, MAFS cops it. I don't know. It just cops it a lot more.
Yeah, it does. It's just the viewership, man. It's just the viewership. That's why in the beginning when I was like, what's the worst that could happen? I'm a single mom. I'll also say, so many people are like, why didn't you just leave then? They will not let you leave.
Yeah.
The amount of times that I tried to leave, perfect example, when I had a full panic attack on the couch. So if we can go back.
Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Because I would like to add, when Alyssa had that panic attack, I ran out after her. I then got abused, being like, Tahnee, get back in, get back in. And then the edit was to look like Duncan was the only one that went after Alyssa. Not what happened. I was straight up there. I was like, this is fucked. Like, he was sitting on the couch for like a decent while before he went and then got and went
and
to
I reckon he only got up because he thought to himself, it will look bad if I just keep sitting here.
And then I'm getting abused and being told to like go back in the room because I was like, is this like real life? Like what's going on? Like she's clearly having a panic attack and why are we not attending to this? And then you're then made to look like a crazy bitch on TV when that's just so unfair that people can't recognize that. Yeah. Like
a lot of people do recognize it, which thank God. I just want to go back. I don't know if you want to edit this in or not, but this is just like I wrote to my best friend Brad, and this was the commitment ceremony after the couple swap. I said, dot points for me to remember. Going in thinking we had a great time this week, excited to talk about where we were at. He always said we should never blindside each other on the couch, and now it's been 2 times in a row. Him saying Saturday was the worst he's ever felt in this relationship, and he cried, unbeknownst to me. When I asked why he didn't tell me, he said we were in a good place, so why would he tell me? He quoted my mom, "Your mom even said I don't dwell on the past, so I didn't dwell on those feelings." Said I wanted to talk about his past to understand him better, but then when I did, I would stick up for them. He will not talk about his exes on camera because he doesn't want to list the bad things they've done to make him break up with them. He wants to play the good gentleman of never talking poorly about anyone. Kept talking about Saturday when he knew I was trying to get home to see Leon, which forced me to explain why I get triggered. Duncan knew all of this. What we can say is, like, I got triggered because there was a lot of stuff going on in my personal life that I was dealing with in parallel to MAFS. And Duncan knew all of this. He was a great support to it. MAFS knew all of it. They were a great support to it. But the experts kept hounding me to the point where I had to break and tell everybody in the room what was going on at home. I said, why would he just not be on my team and back me? He is scared of looking like the bad guy or doing anything wrong. He felt rejected when he gave me the photo of all of my favorite things in one picture, him and baking, and I wasn't ecstatic about it because I needed to go home. When the question was asked what I could have done better so Duncan doesn't feel like that, I asked Duncan, and he went around about in a way I couldn't even follow. Then I said, what can I do differently so you don't feel like I'm shutting you out or not continuing the conversation? And he said, nothing. I do a great job of that, so why was I being questioned? Keeps bringing up that he wants to talk about the future so much, but only if I'm ready, and I won't talk to him about it. But we literally unpacked that conversation a few weeks ago, and I invited him to my work Christmas party, and he laughed it off. And he mentioned once to me when we were drunk about a festival, but never secured anything in stone. So he knew about the whole Wednesday and every other weekend thing. He knew about all of it.
My thing I always found so bizarre is I feel like there was a very different Duncan on camera versus off camera. And it was really puzzling to me because I would be like, what? Like, I feel like he was always trying to portray this good guy, good gentleman vibe. And I hate that. I hate that pick-me men energy. And I do want to bring this up. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but about the events from the honeymoon and what happened, in which you guys didn't share with us.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
So this was like really the tipping point for me because I was like, nah,
and
man,
I didn't tell anybody this.
You haven't told anyone this.
I didn't tell. I only told you guys on publicity day.
Yep.
And this was I have not spoken a word. So this is big. Do you have a Patreon? This is on Patreon. This is Patreon. This is Patreon content. Let's talk about the honeymoon. So Duncan's obviously quite attractive. We had very high chemistry from the get-go.
Totally. Yeah.
We ended up sleeping with each other on the honeymoon, and then coming back to that next morning, he was like,
I need to rewatch it now, like being like, you little liars, you little liars.
He said, hey, let's not tell anybody we slept with each other just yet. I feel like we should, kind of drag it out. Maybe after, what's the sex week?
Intimacy week.
Maybe after intimacy week, people will respect us a little bit more, and it won't look like that, we're just getting in bed with each other.
What does that mean? Because I had to cop the first couple to sleep together. I had to cop that, which wasn't true, but anyways, I had to cop that. No. So what, is he judging me for sleeping with my partner?
No, because we did the same thing. I don't know. Again, it feels like it's very strategic. He knew how he wanted to come across on TV, which I applaud him for that because I was just fucking balls to the wall, right? Unhinged. And he was very strategic. And you know what? It was like a big, cheerful moment when we came out and said that we had slept with each other after intimacy week. Everyone was like, hooray! Yeah. It was weird, man. When he said that to me, I was like, I remember talking to my best friend Brad about it too, and he's like, why? Like, why are you hiding it? Like, why? And I was like, I don't know. He just thought it would be like a good idea for us not to say anything.
Because I feel like my thoughts, which was very weird on the show. They wanted you to be painted out this like Mormon prude chick as
Bro,
well. I was like, she's not even
it.
Mormon.
I have not been Mormon for 20 years. Why they went with that backstory, I have
So
no
weird.
idea. Maybe because it's interesting. Maybe it was a bit culty. Like, I don't know. But I literally have not been Mormon for 20 years. Am I a little bit of a prude because I am a Mormon? Yes, because growing up, we didn't ever talk about sexuality or talk about any of that stuff. But now, like, when I'm, like, kind of growing more into myself and into my sexuality, I'm, like, all for it.
Totally.
And I feel like I did get a lot of confidence from being in that sex workshop with Alessandra because everyone was like, talk about it. The more you talk about it, the more comfortable you feel about it. And that's exactly how I was. So, bro, I was not a prude. And then that's when I started getting hate for like, oh my God, she was Mormon, but then she was sleeping with a married man.
Even with the affair thing, that I feel like was so unfair.
So
I wish they didn't include that
unfair.
in, but it obviously fed into the narrative of you being hypocritical or whatever they wanted to paint.
Let's talk about that.
So unfair. Let's talk about it. Let's
Let's
give context because I obviously knew the details of the affair and why I will 100% support Alyssa, and it's not Alyssa's fault. Personally, that's how I feel.
Thank you.
Because I think, people don't know this, and I am seeing a couple little comments coming through. People like, oh, hang on a second, like the circumstances around it, I'm
deal.
on Alyssa's side. And I think there's a lot of context when it comes to this. So please share, I guess, top notes of that because,
Top notes, and I will say this was in all of my confession letter as well. So, but of course they only take out like 2 words of it. Top notes, I was very young. I was in my early 20s. I was working at a corporate bank and started going to the gym, seeing my boss at the gym. My boss was not married, no wedding ring, nothing. And so then we kind of started like, he was like a personal trainer and stuff. Started like developing a bit of, not a relationship, but a slippery slope of a relationship of banter. So we started meeting up at the gym. A few months in, he started wearing a wedding ring. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, are you married? And he's like, oh, it's only for a visa. Like, it's not a real marriage. So one night I was drunk.
as in, wait, sorry, he wanted the visa or the person he was marrying wanted the visa?
He was marrying needed a visa. So he was Mexican. And so he was marrying this Mexican girl that needed a visa. And so I was like, oh, okay, like I get that, whatever. I was drunk one night. He came over to my house. We slept together. And then like from then, it was like 0 to 100. He was the first narcissist that I have ever met in my entire life. So I had no idea how to deal with the love bombing, the manipulation, anything. We would literally spend 24/7 together. We would go to work. He would come home to my house after work. And so I was like, surely he doesn't have a wife.
So was she in Mexico?
No, she was in California. There's also in California, by the way.
Oh, sorry, it's in California. Okay.
Yes, this was not in Australia.
Okay. I was gonna say, I was like, visas. I was like, what? I'm confused.
No.
Okay, so it was in America.
This was in America. I was like 23, 24, so I was very young.
And how old was he?
He was 35.
Yeah. Okay.
So older, man in power. And we were spending 24/7 together. So I was like, well, he doesn't have a wife. Like, I believe everything he's saying. Like, he's saying it's all fake. Like, why wouldn't I believe that, right? He's spending all this time with me. And so then people start to clue in at work. And he's like, hey, I'm going to write you papers so you can go on stress leave. I'm going to get a promotion to a different branch in a few months. And then, once you come back from stress leave, I had gotten the promotion. The visa stuff will all be over as well, so we can come out with our relationship. I was like, great. Me going on stress leave, you had to see a therapist. And she was probably one of the first therapists that, like, really saved me. And she basically unveloped this. Is that a word? Unveloped?
Unveloped.
Maybe
we'll make it up.
She
uncovered
the fact that he was highly manipulating me, highly love bombing me. She's like, Alyssa, you need to do some digging because I bet you he is in a real marriage.
Yeah.
That night, went home, found his wife on Instagram. They looked like they were very happy and in love.
Wow.
Called him out the next day. Never spoke to him again.
Crazy.
He wouldn't let me see my friends. He wouldn't let me go to work. So all the time I was spending with him was just him. And then he would not let me do anything. That is one-on-one narcissist, right? Yeah. I learned my lesson from that. I knew how hurtful it was. I knew, oh my God, like, imagine if his wife found out about this. Like, he was like telling me he loved me, planning our life together, planning kids together. Like, I felt sick, which is why I get so upset. Not necessarily about the cheating, which I'm upset about, but about the manipulation and about the lying. And that's what happened with the cheating scandal. Yeah. It was not about the kiss. Yeah. It was about the lying and the manipulation by both Adam and Claire for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Jesse sitting up there, broken, knowing, again, in his gut that something was going on, and Adam being like, you're crazy, bro.
Yeah. And all of us literally thinking Jesse was crazy.
Yes.
I felt so bad
Which
for Jesse.
means all of Australia
Is
collectively would think that for 3 weeks.
Yep.
And then seeing Jesse break down, seeing Janelle break down. Duncan and I were very close with Janelle and Jesse. They came over to our house multiple times when all of this was starting to unvelop again, unravel. And then Duncan wanting to be friends with Adam, I was like, fucking choose anybody else.
I was 100% on your side with that. And I feel like I didn't like how that was painted because I was like, nah, if
choose anyone else.
I always judge. You should always judge your potential partners, boyfriends, whatever, by their friends.
Because who they hang out with.
Your friends are an extension of yourself and your personality. So if they have shitty friends, they're probably shit.
Yes. Birds, what is it? Birds that flock together. I'm not very good at these. I'm not very good at these puns, whatever they're called. 100%. That is so spot on. And I'm like, why? Like, why do you want to be friends with him? Why? Pick anyone else. And so that's why I was so red hot going into that dinner party as well, because Janelle was like, I'm so broken. I can't speak. And I'm like, I have a loud voice.
Yeah.
I can fucking speak. I get that it looks hypocritical, but you got to look at it through the eyes of, I have been through that before. I know how much it hurts. So that's why I have a different lens on it now.
Yeah, 100%. I felt like, that one was hard to watch because I was like, no, that's not like, that's just not it.
It looks so hypocritical.
So bad.
Trust me, if I watch that back, I'd be like, that bitch is cray.
Yeah.
Like, pipe down, bro. Like, get off your, but like, that's because, again, all of the context was taken out from the affair. I'd learned my lesson. I know exactly how the manipulation and the cheating hurts people so deeply, which is why I was so fired up about it and why it hit a nerve. Did I overreact? Absolutely.
We all overreacted. We're all drama queens. Like, that's just how we
I'm
were.
a Leo, guys. I'm like, everyone talks about like houses of Leo. I'm like all 100 houses of Leo. Like, I'm Leo as Leo gets. So I'm an absolute drama queen. Absolute overreactor. So yes, did I? Please forgive me for overreacting. But at the same time, I'm friends with Claire now as well. I had apologized to her on camera, which was never again shown. Adam and I are cool. He did send me a voice note the other day that's like, Alyssa, are we cool? Because I heard you call me a narcissist the other day. I was like, oh, sorry, Adam. Look, people mess up. People do shitty things. Yeah. It's a weird situation. It was fucked that, Janelle and Caitlin Caitlin too, that Janelle and Jesse, kind of copped the brunt of it. Janelle went home early because of it all, but shit. Yeah. So that's the cheating scandal for you. What else? I don't know.
What a time. Isn't it crazy that like this time last year we
were
filming MAFS?
I can't believe it was a year ago. How it's been a year, I have no idea. But I think that's why like things are starting to come up again, because my best friend Brad again the other day was like, why are you starting? He's like, I'm here for it. But like, why are you now just like starting to talk about it? And I think there's two things. I think one, there's been enough time that's passed where people are starting to know the real me and I have my voice back. And two, I think I've done enough healing that I'm able to talk about it without getting overly emotional.
So what advice would you give for next year's MAFS cast or someone thinking about applying for MAFS?
Please reach out to me. Please. I say that very wholeheartedly. I'm not going to say don't do it. Because you can make your own decision on whether to do it or not.
I don't know if I would encourage people to do it.
I wouldn't encourage them. That's why I said, please speak to me. Like, reach out to me.
Like, I think, and this is coming from someone that got very, 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 very lucky. Yes. I think the high risk, high reward.
The risk is like 1%.
Yeah, I don't know how I got lucky. Like, honestly, like, I don't know who was looking over me. Yeah. I don't know what happened, but I think.
Kept it in the family. That's
honestly, right? Lol. Yeah, I think it's just so, man, it takes a lot, like emotionally, physically, like it's a whole thing. And there's
nothing that can prepare you, I don't think, until you're in it, and nobody understands what you're going through unless you live it. Yeah. And that's why I say, reach out to me, please. My inbox is always, always open. I'm there to support, whether good, bad, dirty. If you need a shoulder to cry on, like we've all been there, and I promise you'll need that support. So please DM me. Olivia was actually the first and only one from the previous season to reach out to me. She reached out to me and she's like, hey babe, just so you know, like I'm here for you if you need it. Yeah. Please reach out to me. And I was like, that's really nice. So my same sentiment goes out to the new cast and anybody looking to do it. I'll say it this way, until there are rules and regulations in what they can do with editing and manipulation, don't do it, because they will promise you the world I want to say that as well. A lot of people are like, why didn't you leave then if it was so bad, if you didn't think he was a good guy? I had a lot of feelings for him, okay? Very early on, my feelings developed really, really quickly. And so it was always like, am I self-sabotaging or is it this gut feeling? Like,
constant battle.
It's a constant battle, especially when your feelings are so amplified. We literally went through a year's worth of relationship issues in 3 months.
Totally.
And the other thing is, every time I tried to quit, production were like, no, you're doing a great job. That's what I was going to say. When I had the panic attack, when I was in the purple dress, and I was like, I have a child, and stormed out. What I was talking about was, and I don't think this was aired, but Alessandra asked me, Alyssa, do you have high expectations? And I was like, I don't think I have high expectations. And she asked Duncan, do you think Alyssa has high expectations? And Duncan's like, yeah, I think I do. I think she does. And I was like, what the hell? Like, what? Oh, you know what? It has just clicked to me.
High expectations of what communication?
Literally. So, that's what she was talking about, because we were talking about the whole him not messaging me. I was like, I have an expectation that my partner messages me on the weekends. If that's a too high expectation, then I'll put my hand up and say I have a too high expectation, but that's the bare minimum.
Do you remember? And there was a conversation about if you're away from your partner, you would expect a call every single day. Me and Ollie agreed. We were like, absolutely. FaceTime. Yes. And everyone was looking at us like we're crazy. It's like, would you not, if you're a long distance, you would communicate with your partner every single day? Likely, unless there was something that happened, and we were like agreeing with you. I remember this.
Yes.
And everyone was, and some, like, I think a couple people agreed, but I remember Harrison being like, "Oh, what? That's too much." But it's like, no, I would want to speak to my partner every single day. That's what you do when you're in a relationship. For me, I like attention. And so he had said that my expectations were too high, and then they were also going down the route of this is another huge thing that they edited that was so wrong. Was she asked Duncan, is it a concern that Alyssa's son is going to be first priority? In real life, he says it's a concern. Yeah.
On the edit, he goes, it's not a concern. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
not
fair.
That's when people are like, he wanted to try things with you. He, he was looking after you and he wanted to do everything for you. No, he did not. There were elements of him that did. Yes, absolutely. But when he said that Leon being a first priority was going to conflict with me wanting to be his first priority and I should be okay being second priority to his boys, different scenario. Yeah. So that's why I got so upset when she was trying to say that I have too high expectations. Yeah. I snapped.
Yeah.
I felt all of this. I was like, this is so fucked. Why am I here? Yeah. What am I doing? Why am I leaving my child for this? For me to get berated every single time I sit on the couch? I am done. I have had enough. I'm going to fucking die. Yeah. That's how you feel when you have a panic attack. You need to get yourself out of that situation immediately. I got up. I got the fuck out of there. I tried to walk out. One of the APs is like, Alyssa, stop right there. Do not go any further. That's why you see me like standing against the wall. Yeah. And I was like this. And I was just like back against the wall. And I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. Yeah. And he literally was like, you cannot leave. You ran after me.
I ran after you.
First.
Did anyone else?
I'm pretty sure Lyndall did as well.
Yeah, because
I'm pretty sure most of the girls.
But they didn't even show that.
But they wouldn't let you guys come through. So like, we film in a big warehouse. Okay, so like, there's like a little room with like a green couch, and then that goes into like the bigger room where we have like the cocktail party and the commitment ceremony. So I think a lot of the girls got to the little room and that's where blocked was. Yeah. And was like blocking everyone off. Yeah. And then of course Duncan decided to make his way out and try to find me. Yeah. And guys, I'm telling you, if you've had a panic attack, you'll understand. But I needed to get the fuck out of there and get some fresh air, or I was literally going to die. Yeah. So I went to the elevator, which mind you, these elevators are so fucking slow. So fucking slow. If Duncan really wanted to chase after me, he just should have got into...
The dramatics of the doors shutting, I can't go.
He should have just... And I had multiple people say this to me as well. If he wanted to run after you, fucking run after and hug me and say, no, you can't, you're not leaving. You know what I mean? Like, or run in there with me and say, no, I want to be with you. Don't be like... with the dramatics. And so I got the fuck out of there. I was literally down the street of the warehouse. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have anything. I was trying to find a taxi or a paparazzi or somebody. I was not coming back because they take your phones. They take everything. Yeah. And then I had run after me, who's the executive producer. She's like, Alyssa, come back. And I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm out. I don't want to do this. I see what you guys are trying to do and I'm not here for it. And she's like, and this is where the manipulation tactics come in, right? Alyssa, we see you. We see you as such a good mother. We see you. You're such a strong mom. I'm a mom too. I get it. We put our kids first. You know, you're really emotional. You really like this guy. He's not showing you what you need to what he needs to show you. We can see he's a politician. We can see he doesn't have a stance on things, that he dances around answers and he's not giving you that validation. We see that. You need to expose that. You know, homestays is in a couple weeks. Get your friends to do it. If you're not comfortable in doing it, get your friends to do it. Get them on board. Get them to grill him. You know, try to break him a little bit. People are going to love you, Alyssa. They're going to relate to you. You're going to be Australia's sweetheart. This is how they fucking twist you back in. And so you're like, they pump you up again.
Do you think that they did think that, and then when they started seeing everything pieced together, like, no, this is a better angle? Like, because it's hard for me to believe that someone could lie and be so... Like,
I don't know, man. These executive producers don't have a heart.
It's so hard to comprehend, because it's like, I felt that too. I was like, yes, like 100% I agree. Yes. And like, that's how I was viewing it. So then to think like... It's just crazy to me, because I was saying this to Mel. I think if Mel and Leighton broke up at Final Vows, I reckon she could have been twisted to look a certain way.
100%.
I think the Final Vows
Mel would have been me.
100%. And I think the Final Vows is like the full, that's it. That's how it's going to be.
And that's how they twist it.
And your Final Vows...
We're fucked.
That's how they did it. That's how they did it. They got you to stay till that, and then you got fucked.
Yep. And I think you're right. And that they would have painted him as a perfect gentleman and me as this crazy, insecure girl. And I would have looked so crazy and insecure that people would have celebrated him dumping me.
So Ollie obviously did an episode with Rupert and Duncan, and he called that out. And I actually was like, that's such a good point, because I feel like if Duncan didn't look the way that he did, there would be a lot of different sentiment. I feel like all these women that are just like panties dropping for him wouldn't have the same energy. And it's just a bit disgusting, because I think there is... Actually, I have this really great question which I wanted to read to you, because I was like, wow, like this is a really like in-depth analysis. And the way she asked it, I was like, yes, like you get it, babes.
And can I just shout out to Deb as well, my mom, because she obviously listened to the podcast with Duncan and Ollie and Rupert, and she's like, I find it so interesting that Ollie has said Duncan has pretty privilege. Ollie is way prettier than Duncan. He has the full package. He's charming. He's good looking. He's super funny. She goes, he's way prettier than Duncan. I was like, okay, Mom, relax. He has a girlfriend.
So this question, and I had a couple of people not want me to say their names, so I won't say
anonymous.
Names. Anonymous. Question for Alyssa. To what extent do you feel the societal expectations on women to act and present a certain way impacted your experience in the experiment and on the outside? Do you think the way people perceive you was purely due to the unfair edit, or speaks to a deeper misogyny which prioritizes a man's perspective and thrives off a crazy woman stereotype? Do you think your experience would have been different with a better edit, or would you still be experiencing the same cultural prejudices? What a great question, right?
What a deep fucking thinking question. Thank you, Anonymous, because that is so spot on. I had a similar question in my inbox the other day that's like, no offense to Josh, but you know, he really got celebrated and people really felt for him when he was crying on the couch. Is that because it's a man showing emotion? And as soon as a woman shows emotion, she's deemed as crazy and unhinged.
Yeah.
I am an emotional person. I love that about myself. It is one of my best qualities that I have. I'm empathic. Empathic? Is that a word?
Empathetic?
I'm an empath.
Yeah, I'm an empath.
I cry at the fucking Cadbury chocolate commercials. Yeah. Like, I feel deeply when other people get hurt. And I do think it is so fucking rich for MAFS producers to portray a single mother that has been through fucking hell and back in her life, is insecure, and what is wild to me is that even after filming, there was no doubt in my mind that they weren't going to I wasn't going to at least have like single moms on my side being like, I'm here with you, I stand with you, I see what you're going through. But the fact that there were so many articles of people saying, Alyssa gives single moms a bad rap. And that made me so fucking broken inside. Probably the worst headline that I've ever read, because I never in a million years wanted to invalidate single women and what they're going through. Single women deserve love just as much as anybody else, but what they are not seeing, what they saw is a broken single woman and a perfect gentleman, and that's not at all what had happened.
Everyone loves seeing a crazy woman.
Everyone loves seeing a crazy woman, and they love seeing a perfect gentleman paired with a crazy woman.
Because it's rare. Because let's think about all the men on the show.
Yes.
No offense. There was very far and few. So could they make one of the few look worse?
Dude,
probably not.
If they would have shown Duncan talking to his ex-girlfriend on the night of our honeymoon, if I would have brought that up to producers, he could have potentially been the bad guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He spoke to his ex-girlfriends all throughout the show. Why am I throwing him under the bus? I don't know, because I feel like that's something that was never spoken about. And I'm like, well, that's not really fair, because you guys are going off at Harrison for doing the same thing. You guys are going off at Shannon for doing the same thing. I don't know what was said in these conversations, but I do know that he was speaking to her.
Yeah.
And he was upfront about it.
Yeah.
Like the night of our honeymoon, we got home and he spent 4 hours on the phone with her because she didn't know that he was going on MAFS, which I get it. That was respectful of him to like speak to her, but then he like continued to speak to her.
Yeah.
And there's also been a few other exes that have reached out to me that have said that they were speaking to him as well throughout the show. So it just is giving me is...
It's a bit hypocritical.
Who were you?
Yeah, who were you?
Take off the mask.
The take off the mask. So
who are you?
Can we just talk about that final dinner party, the reunion dinner party? Because there was a scene that was cut out, and I think it was so disgusting, and it really should have been shown. Yeah, it just really should have been shown. Harrison and Duncan. Harrison.
They showed this again at the reunion flashback, but they did not show this in real life.
Yep.
And I have a reason why.
Yep. So we were at the dinner table. Harrison had said, why would you settle for a 35, 36-year-old woman when you're going to have 20-year-olds in your DMs? And
he said 35-year-old woman with
a
baggage.
With baggage,
with baggage, meaning that my child is baggage. Can I just be very clear? Children are not baggage.
No.
Stop referring to children as baggage, because children are... my child, Leon, has taught me so much love and patience and resilience. He is the best thing that has ever happened to me. So please stop saying that as baggage. Yeah. But when Harrison said that, I called Harrison out. I was sitting across the table from him, and I said, Harrison, and I got along with Harrison.
Yeah, you were quite close with him.
If you guys remember, like we would go to dinner parties and you'd be like, fuck, I hate Harrison. I'm like, is he that bad? Like, I'm sorry, Bronte. But... yeah, I was like, Harrison, did you say this?
Did you say that?
And he's like, yeah, I said it. And then Duncan got all up in arms about it. Remember? I was like, oh,
he
so that's
screaming at you. I was next to him and I was like, whoa, what's going on? And that was the first time I saw him break. The first time I finally saw him show something different.
Yep.
I was like,
he screamed
screaming. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I was like, so that's the reason why you dumped me? So you could go and stay to the end, get all the fame. And then
be with 20-year-olds.
hop into bed with a 20-year-old.
Let's just leave that right there.
Like, and he's like, I can't believe it. That is a defamation of my character. Like, full screaming at me. It was more like attacking me as well.
Yeah, it's like Harrison said it, and you.
Yeah, and
you didn't even try and defend your partner. No. Not even your partner, like your partner at the time, but like to be like, hey, bro, that's a bit disrespectful. Like,
no. He went off at me.
For
asking Harrison that. And they showed that at reunion again.
And we were all shocked.
And what's crazy is that at reunion, they also showed Duncan's confession and me saying, how do I ever know if I'm going to be enough?
Good enough. It was very much around Alyssa not feeling good enough. And that's why it was so shocking to see that they didn't paint the picture of why you felt insecure, why you didn't feel good enough. And it just made you look like you made this shit up out of nowhere and you were just insecure just cause. Not that there was reasons why. Like, so unfair. Because it just, and I can see why the viewers felt the way they did, because you don't know.
I would have felt the same.
100%.
And that's why I never hold it against anyone for having that opinion of me, because that's exactly how they wanted you to feel. I would have felt the same way watching it back. I'd have been like, fuck, man, she is fucking crazy. But then when you put it all together and you look at us after the show and you kind of like tee up, okay, what are they both doing? What are they both like? I think it's a real telltale sign. I can't say these, like whatever that is. Whatever. I think it's a very good sign of someone's genuine personality as far as what they're doing after the show. And you know, once we get our socials back, I think you can kind of very clearly see who was in it for the right reasons and who wasn't. And yeah, it's just it's very unfortunate, I guess, on my behalf. I copped that edit, but I'm so thankful now that, you know, I have my voice back and I'm able to speak out about, you know, what happened to me and how I was done dirty. And I don't want to be blaming, and I don't want to be like, oh yeah, the edit this, but it is fucking manipulation of the edit and what you say and how they say it. You will sit in a Voxy.
Half an hour minimum.
A minimum. And they will get you to say things until they get you to say that exact thing that they want you to say.
I would always be like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah,
I was
same.
like, I just want to get it out of the way.
I got to the point where I was like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah. Like, what line do you want?
One of the producers was always like, you don't have to use these words, but is like, this it? Okay. And I was like, okay, so that's what you want me to say? Is that caving? Probably. But like, you're so exhausted at this point that you're just like, fuck, just tell me what you want me to say and I'll get over it. Yeah. Like, get it over with.
And I think it's also like, reality TV is entertainment, right? I feel like people take it too far when it comes to the outside world, because you can just look at it as like art of reality TV. Yeah. It's a bit manufactured. Yes. It's, you know, but it's entertainment. Yeah. But to take it to the point of real life to then send hate to people, too far. Like, I've watched shows and I fucking have loved villains. I'm like, oh my God, what a funny bitch. Like, I think a great example is Christine from Selling Sunset.
Yes,
I love her.
Christine.
She is a villain. Like, she is so intense, but I appreciate her as the character of her on a reality show.
Correct.
And what she brings to the table. Do I think she ever deserves hate or no? But I respect her as that personality. Probably wouldn't get along with her, but I love her for that, and I love that energy.
It's almost like watching Bridgerton, right? Like, are you going to look up the person that's played Bridgerton and go and send them hate? No.
No.
Like, reality TV is so
like, view it the same way, guys. Like, just don't... Yeah, just be
stop,
for real about it. Like, don't.
And sometimes people are like, oh, it's a joke. But like, how do you know when that one joke is going to be the one that's too far and that pushes somebody over the edge? I always say this, you can have an opinion. People are like, I'm allowed to have an opinion. Have an opinion of me. I don't give a shit. Talk shit about me at the dinner table. Talk shit about me in your group chat. Talk shit about me in a fucking Reddit thread that I'll never read. But when you look up my name, type out a message, send it to me, that's intent to be hurtful.
Totally.
And that is what is not on. Stop fucking doing it.
And you know what I'll say? Is the second you call them out, they buckle.
They stop.
Yeah.
Or they reverse and they're like,
actually,
sorry.
no, you're actually
I fucking love calling out the trolls.
Love that, because it's always the case.
Yeah.
Always.
Because then they get angry that like I've flashed them on my stories and I'm like, don't fucking send it to me.
What do you want me to do with it?
What do you want me to do with it? Just take this in and like have it destroy my soul? Because as much as you can say, oh, I don't care if I'm painted in a bad picture. I don't care if I'm going to get a bad edit. I don't care about trolls. It destroys your soul. I'm telling you. It somehow gets in and it fucking destroys you.
Totally. It's just, it's horrible. And I feel quite blessed to have not had anything
but you've been that, such a support to me, though.
Oh, and I think, you know, even seeing like I said before, like people would send me like mean shit anytime I would share something to support you. Dude. It stopped now, but early on when I started defending you, people were like, what? But then I got people being like, oh, like Tahnee, like you were very like level-headed, or you were very Switzerland during the show, so obviously your opinion, you can't be too far off.
Dude, I reached out to Jess Powers while it was airing, and I was like, hey, how did you fucking deal with hate? Because she was another villain, which I loved. And she was like, oh, babe, like, I'm so sorry. Like, every year she gets somebody that comes up to her. So she posted something about me, and she's like, guys, like, fucking leave her alone. She's a single mother. Like, you guys, this isn't fucking real.
Yeah.
And then she messaged me and she's like, dude, the amount of hate that I'm getting for sticking up for you is wild. She's like, hang in there. It'll get better. I promise you. And I was like,
and I'll say it's turning. I feel like I'm getting more positive messages about Alyssa, and people being like more thinking about things rather than taking it from what they saw.
We're putting the puzzle pieces together and people are starting to be like, I see it now.
And I get it now. Is outside the show what people do, like
what
you
people
said before,
are doing outside.
People are like, oh, okay, that's the type of person they are.
Bro,
that's
all
what
I do
they're
is
doing.
Bake cakes with rainbows and sprinkles, and I just want everyone to love each other.
Literally,
I'm literally that girl at the end of Mean Girls. Like that's literally
you.
me.
That is seriously you. Like, just you want to bake a cake?
You want to bake a cake? I got in trouble for fucking baking you guys cookies. Remember? Like they're like, can you not do that anymore?
Ever the best cookies ever. Put the recipe up there.
Yeah, well, I should.
And yeah, and you fucking got in trouble.
I got in so much trouble, dude. So much trouble. So then I had to like bake and then leave it in like the camera room.
And they would eat them all. And then
all the camera guys and the audio guys would eat all of the cakes and cookies and stuff. And everyone would be like, "Where are the cake and cookies?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's in the audio room." And they're like, "Oh, what?"
I know. I remember Beck putting aside some for me because she knew how much I really wanted them.
Biscoff slice.
Oh,
Mint.
so good. Okay, so let's talk about final vows because we were chatting, you know, the days leading up to, we were always constantly in conversation. And from my perspective, Alyssa was still not sure about what she was going to do. It was very like, I don't want to stay with him. Like, I'm not sure. And I did get a question that was like, if he was so bad, why did you choose to stay at the final vows?
Yes.
So can you share with us, like, I guess, how you got that I guess the process from what you were thinking those days leading up to, what got you to say what you said at your final vows, and then how you felt, I guess, with what he said.
Yeah. So for me, the big catalyst was homestays.
Yes.
Homestays was like going to be make or break for me because Duncan and I were going through a lot. But I think the conversation that we kept having was, is this relationship stuff real or is this experiment related? And he kept saying, we kept being on the same page of we won't actually know until we're out in the real world. And we were so fortunate to live so close to each other that we were always, from my perspective, always going to try it on the outside world because that's how we were never going to know other than that. So homestays was big for me because homestays, it was over Halloween. I just felt like I got in trouble for that because like I'm like, we're never meant to talk about like the timeline. But I remember I had like Halloween decorations in our apartment. They're like, you've got to take it down. I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But it was at Halloween, and so I needed to again wrap up early to go take Leon trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
And so they had me say, okay, go say you're gonna go pick up your child. So again, I was like, I gotta go get my child after we spoke with his sister. But another thing they didn't show was we actually spoke to his best friend. So his best man and his wife, beautiful people. They have a young child as well. So we actually had another catch up with his friends at homestays. And they asked me some hard-hitting questions, man. They were like, are you emotionally well enough to be in a relationship with Duncan? Like, do you think you're overprotective of your child by not, like, introducing Duncan to him? And I was like, these are fucking deep. So I'm actually quite shocked that they didn't show those.
Yeah, well, like,
maybe because
content as well.
Such good content. Maybe because, like, I was, like, really level-headed in answering that.
And didn't look like a crazy bitch.
And didn't look like a crazy bitch, yes. And so homestays, it was big. We went surfing, which they didn't show. And I really like, again, producers, please just send me that content because it was so much fun. He was such a good surf teacher. I was so anxious. I was like, that morning I woke up and I was like, I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm allergic to the ocean. I'm not going. Like, it's not happening. And I had to pop. So I have cold urticaria. So my body breaks out in hives when I get cold.
Oh my God.
And so if you go in the water, it can like exasperate because you're like, it's freezing cold. It was during winter, right? I guess spring. But I was like, I'm not going. And I was like, my dad's like, Alyssa, sometimes you have to do hard things. And I was like, okay, I'm going. So we had so much fun surfing. Like, homestays was such a good time. Like, staying at his house, and I just felt so comfortable. And like, again, we were just having so much fun. I made like a painting for his house. I wonder if that's still up. Probably not. It's probably in the bin. But yeah, it felt like real life to me. And I just felt so comfortable and so happy. And that was kind of like the final step that I needed for it to see that it was actually going to work in the real world. Like, it was a real world situation where I needed to go home, take Leon trick-or-treating, and then I was back at his house the next day. And I was like, it was so easy. It was 10 minutes down the road. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I was so excited to go to this final date.
Because your homestay, like, from us discussing, like, your homestays was amazing.
So good.
And they made it seem like it was hell.
Yes. We had the best time during homestays. I'm telling you, we like had a few wines together. We watched Hocus Pocus. Duncan had never seen Hocus Pocus before.
Hocus Pocus.
Like, we went for coffee. Like, and that's the thing about Duncan and I is we had such good fun together that we would spend all this time together, and it was really easy and it was really fun. And then, final date came along, and that's when it all was just like, zoom. And I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Basically the producer was like, hey guys, this is like the last time you're going to be able to chat to kind of nut things out before you can, before final vows. So I was like, yeah, okay. And I was like totally leaning in, and I was like, this week was so good for me, and I feel like this is exactly what I needed, and I'm ready to like open up my whole life to you, and I can't wait to like, see how things go on the outside. And then he's like, boom, 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 completely tears our relationship apart. I think, you know, he literally listed off like A, B, and C, and it was all the things about me saying that he couldn't be friends with Adam. And I was like, we've already spoken about that.
And we've moved on from it. Why
we moved on. And I was like, I told you, because afterwards about me saying, no, you can't be friends with Adam. And, you know, we had more conversations continuing on from that. I started to see his perspective.
Like supporting a mate.
Yes. Yeah. And I was like, look, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I'm not always going to get along with your friends, and that's fine. And so I was like, that's fine. But then he was like, well, how did you change your mind so quickly? He's like, you just said that it was a line in the sand that I couldn't be friends with him. And I was like, no, I didn't. But like, am I not allowed to change my mind and like supporting you? Like, are you questioning why I'm not supporting you? Yeah. So he brought that up, which was really confusing. He also brought up about the fact that I'm going to be asking him where he is all the time because of the whole Evelyn being over at the apartment thing. And I was like, that's just out of respect, but okay. And then he brought up
also different circumstances, but
such different circumstances. I can't remember what else he brought up. I'm sure I have it written down somewhere.
Well, the thing I remember is him saying that, do you think this is a healthy relationship because of the ups and downs? And I found that so...
How did I forget that?
That was just so shocking to me because no relationship is perfect.
No.
And obviously from what they showed in the show, it's painting the picture, making him look a certain way because they only showed the bloody negatives.
Yes.
But there were so many beautiful moments with you guys. And I would say the negatives were so small in comparison to all the other amazing things we saw.
And such little things that we were drilling on.
Workable little things.
And it was almost like because we didn't have issues, they were like focusing on the little things as well. Where I'm like, this is not a big deal. Like we can get over this.
Yep.
Like this is not like I don't want
Deal
kids
breaker.
And you have a child.
Yeah.
This is like a little thing like, okay, if we want to talk about communication, you know, when we're away or, you know, how the situation is going to look like on the outside, that's stuff that we can work through. That's what it was. He's like, do you view this as a healthy relationship? And I was like, yeah, we've gone through some shit, but I don't think it's unhealthy. And he's like,
yeah.
And that's where he's like, I feel like this is where he used like the 50% of the time. He's like, if a relationship is not good, if a relationship is more bad than good 50% of the time, then I don't want it. And I was like,
I wasn't in it, but I never saw it being bad from the experiences as a group.
I just feel like he was tallying everything up to that point. And it was like, okay, Alyssa has baked cookies for me. That's one good point. Alyssa did an indoor date for me. That's another good point. We had a great time surfing. That's a good point. Oh, wait. But Alyssa told me I couldn't be friends with Adam. And Alyssa told me that like all these other things. And because there was like 4 bad things and like 3 good things, then he was out. And that's where I was like,
very weird.
That's why I decided like, oh my God, like I am so emotional and he is so logical that like our heads are doing this. And Melinda and I actually got along really well within our relationships because of that, because Leighton is also very logical and Melinda is also very emotional. So literally the day that we got back from homestays and we had to like move out all of our stuff from the apartment, I was looking up all of these articles about like emotional brain versus logical brain and like how to work through that and like what you can do. Like I was trying so hard to make this work.
I know.
Because I was like, Duncan, like how are you all of a sudden like throwing everything away when like we've had such a good homestay and now you're saying that it was all shit? Like where is this coming from? Again, I felt so blindsided.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? And so then I was like sending him through all these things and he writes to me and he's like, I just need to get my final vow sorted and then I'll come back to you. And I was like, oh my God. And so we have a conversation, like the last 30 minutes before we're about to move out. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Like, how did we get here? Like, I don't even know if they showed this, but I was just like, I feel like we're so broken and there's so much that we need to discuss and there's so much that we need to do. Like, what is happening? And he's like, I agree. He's like, but now it's come down to the end of it and we need to like work out what's going to happen. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And I remember the producer cut it short and they're like, hey guys, you're not allowed to talk to each other now until final vows. So that was on a Friday. And then our final vows was the following Wednesday. And Duncan said to the producer, he was like, if you guys must be fucking crazy if you don't think we're going to speak over the weekend. Like this is our relationship. This is our life. She's like, I get that, but can you not? And so I was like, what the fuck? And so we were left so high and dry, like so many like unanswered questions. We couldn't nut anything out. And I was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to message him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I messaged him this huge, long message that's like, you know, they told us not to speak, but I just really want to reach out to you and just remind you. I feel like I told him, I said, I feel like we're really focusing on these little negative things. Like, here's a whole list of really great things that we did together. Like,
positives.
I said, I'm not sure what's going to happen in the end, but if you can please just like remember all of the good things in our relationship and remember, you know, just have a little bit of hope. Like, I was so hopeful at that point where I'm like, fuck, he sees such bad in this relationship. Does he not remember all the good stuff? And I get a call from my producer the next day. I didn't get a response from Duncan from the message. I get a call from my producer the next day that's like, hey, Alyssa, just a reminder to not text Duncan, please. So he would have dobbed me into production.
Yeah.
Saying, and that's when
Pretty
I knew that was a pretty big sign for me that he wasn't in it for real. Because if you really cared about my feelings and you really cared about my relationship, you'd been like, fuck production.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you and work this out because this is a life-changing thing for me.
Yeah.
That's when I knew he was going to say no.
Yeah.
But then I also thought, so this is where like final vows come in, right? My final vows were so fucking long. They were like 5 pages long. And till the morning of, literally the morning of, where my producer is like, Alyssa, I need an answer from you. Is it a yes or a no? My final vows were all the same, except the last sentence was, I can't wait to explore my life with you, or whatever I said on the show. And then the other one was, you know, I should pull it up. But the other one was no. So I had a yes answer and I had a no answer. And I was going so back and forth between a yes and a no. I thought for sure, I said there was no doubt in my mind that he was not going to say yes because he didn't want to look like the bad guy by breaking up with me. Because at this point, you got to remember, I didn't think I was the villain, right? I knew we had a lot of issues, but there was also a lot of shit things that he did.
Totally.
So I was like, there's no way he's going to dump me on TV. There's no way. Maybe we won't last till reunion, but there's no way he's going to dump me at reunion. And so I was like, fuck, I don't know if I should do this. Like, am I being untrue to myself if I say yes?
Yeah.
Because I know that this isn't going to work out. Like, as much as I'm really hopeful and as much as I really want this to work out, the fact that he didn't message me back or be in contact with me to final vows,
it's pretty cold.
that's when I kind of knew, like, fuck, it's over. But I still had this hope, right? And so that morning, producer, again, they do the funny little manipulation tactics where they're like, oh, but Alyssa, like, just remember back to your wedding day and, you know, look at all you're throwing away. Like, you'd be throwing all of this away for what? Like, you guys always said that you would always give it a red hot crack, you know, on this way out of here. You had such a good connection. There were so many good things about you. And they knew this because he was going to say no.
Yeah.
So they wanted him to say no, which is the full lead up of me being crazy, him saying no, that I wasn't going to be good enough for him, and me saying yes, looking delusional and crazy, me saying, I want to help you work on things. People were like, you're fucking delusional, you're fucking crazy. And I'm like, you guys don't understand that, like, me saying that was me wanting to open up his heart to his emotional side because he was so logical. Yeah. And they just made me fucking look like a psycho. And so, yeah, there was a huge amount of manipulation from production for me to say yes. To this day, I don't know how I feel, because even after I said yes, like you guys saw, that was like real fucking heartbreak in my, you know what? I knew the second, I think I wrote it down. I knew the second that I was walking down that aisle that he was going to say no, because, oh yeah, this is really fucking, do I read this? This is
what?
So this is literally 8:03 p.m. I was driving home from after final vows. So I knew walking down the aisle that he was going to say no because he wouldn't even look at me. And when I got there, I was like, are you okay? And he like wouldn't even look me in the eyes. And I was like, motherfucker. And then when he was like saying his vows, and it was like all this negative thing about me, and I kept waiting for like but I want to be with you, and it never came. And that's when I was like, what the fuck? And then everyone's just staring at you.
It's so awkward.
And I was like, that's why I was like, can I go? Like, is somebody going to say anything? Is somebody going to do anything? And that's when he's like, do you want a tissue? Like, fuck off.
Obviously, like, I don't want a tissue from you.
I don't want a tissue. It's because he was trying to like still look like the good guy, because he asked me for a tissue at the wedding day, right? And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you fucking kidding me? And so I ran off into the woods. My producer ran off with me, and I was a fucking mess. I was a mess. And she's like, are you okay to do your final voxy? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. And then after I did my final voxy, head of Channel 9 and the 2 executive producers came over to me, and they're like, thank you, Alyssa, so much for being so raw and vulnerable in yourself. We appreciate you so much. You did so well. We're sorry that this, you know, that you got your heart broken, but you're going to get through this. You're going to be Australia's sweetheart again. Just like hyping me up. And they're like, they wanted me to stay that night at Blue Mountains. You know what's so fucked as well is that day, before I was getting ready, when I had made the decision to say yes, I ran to the shops to get breakfast stuff for us, to make breakfast for the next day.
That's so sad.
Talking about delusional. I was delusional, thinking that he was going to say yes.
Oh.
I was like, hey, if I'm going to say yes, I'm going to lean in and I'm going to give this a go.
Yeah.
And I bought all this food and breakfast stuff for us because I thought that he was going to be coming back to my Airbnb and then have breakfast. And then that night, it happened quite late in the day. It was maybe 5-6 o'clock at night. And I was like, get me the fuck home. Yeah. I'm not staying another night here. Get me home to my baby. I want to go home. I cried the whole way. Bronte rang me. She was crying with me. It was a mess. So do I read this? This is a lot. What is that? This is like my raw feeling. This is basically like my diary straight after. So it says in caps, Duncan just broke up with me. I'm shattered. I'm betrayed. I feel strung along. How could this have happened? How did I not see it? Although I did see it, I should have known. I will never be good enough for him, but I am good enough. He said he doesn't have deep enough feelings for me. I knew it. I knew walking up to him when he wouldn't look at me. He couldn't look at me. I kept asking if he was okay. I just knew. I knew. I had to go first, and I'm glad I did. I got everything off my chest, and he just blindsided me, saying our relationship wasn't good enough. He came into the experiment to find his forever person, and he knew the feeling of being in love, and that wasn't with me. That was fucked. He totally tore our entire relationship apart. It makes me sick. But I'm also so brave that I stuck around. I know what I'm worth. I know I am worthy. I know the good that will come to me. I am manifesting my person. He was not my person. I was always real and I was always authentic, and he wasn't. He never was. He was never open. It makes me sick that he will never message me to check on me, to apologize. Just makes me sick. Thank fuck I never let him meet Leon. I just can't believe it. I thought moving forward would be so different. I couldn't wait to see him Friday night or spend time with him outside the cameras. So he had invited me to his sister's birthday party that Friday, the week before.
Oh my God.
I will be the one that got away. He sometimes made me feel like I was crazy or had high expectations, but I don't. I absolutely don't. I know what I'm worth. I won't settle.
Wow.
So even in that high emotion moment, after everything that I had been through, the feeling that was coming to my mind was like, holy fuck, you know what this experiment has taught me? This experiment has taught me that I'm so fucking strong to go through all of this shit, to get my heart broken on national TV, and then walk away with, okay, now I know what I want, and I know to listen to my gut, and I know to listen to my intuition. Not preparing me for what was going to come with the villain edit. But again, with the villain edit, I think just further cemented that I'm so fucking strong and I can get through this. And people will see people's true colors.
Totally. It all comes out in the end. And I think it might take a long time, but I feel you can't hide who you are. You can't be inauthentic for the rest of your life. People will start calling it out. People will see it. So I think I'm glad for you that people are seeing the true you and are liking that, because it's sad that we didn't get to see that. And I think, you know, it's you can only see so much within a TV show, fair enough, but I think just having people actually have giving you the time of just being like, oh no, that's is who you are.
So grateful for, man. If I watched myself on MAFS, right, and I was this fucking crazy ass bitch, there's no way I would be like wanting to follow me or like look at who I really am. But the fact that people actually are, and they're open, and they're so excited to hear my side of the story, the amount of support, Tahnee, that I got in my fucking DMs over the last couple days when I've been going unhinged. They're like, one girl's like, sing it like a canary. Like, I was like, yes, I love that. They're like, we are so here for you. We stand with you. We're starting to see it now. We're putting the pieces of puzzle together. We're just like, we're here with you, and we stand with you. I never in a million years, you would have told me 3 months ago that this would have happened. Not a fucking chance. Yeah. So I'm so grateful that people are giving me the chance to even be open enough to listen to my side of the story, let alone like have enough in their heart to support me. It's just, it's incredible.
It's crazy. Oh, man, we've chatted about so much.
It's gonna be like a 10-part episode.
Seriously, this is gonna be a couple parts, guys. Jeez. So I wanted to finish off with a little segment called Chuffed or Not Chuffed.
Love it.
So basically, I'll give you a topic and then you'll discuss chuffed or not chuffed about it.
Wait, and is chuffed an Australian word? Like, does chuffed
it's
mean
actually
like...
more. I think it's British slang.
Okay.
So chuffed is like means quite pleased.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
you either like like it, like you're chuffed, like yes you like it. Not chuffed means you're not happy about it. Chuffed or not chuffed? MAFS in general.
Not chuffed.
Not chuffed.
Oh, you know what's so funny is people always ask me like, do you regret it? And I'm like, I want to say yes. Or people will be like, would you be on another show? And I'm like, yeah. Like it's just the toxicity. So chuffed or not chuffed, MAFS. I want to say chuffed because I didn't find my life partner, but I found so many life partners in my best friends.
Totally.
So I'm going to say chuffed.
Chuffed or not chuffed? Life after MAFS.
Chuffed.
Yeah.
Chuffed. Feeling strong, feeling confident. Was feeling a bit broken, but again, I'm much stronger now than I ever was before. And I finally have a voice and I'm speaking up about things that I'm passionate about and bringing everyone along with me.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad, like, seeing your content, seeing all the baking stuff. Like, I just love it. Like, it's just so you and, like, everything that encapsulates you as a person. I just love that people are seeing that and that you have this, you know, fun side.
Yes.
Yeah, you're
really funny.
Yeah, you are. You're actually cool. I don't know which it is one. Producers put this in.
Oh, shit.
Chuffed or not chuffed? Duncan.
Not
chuffed. Leave it at that. Chuffed or not chuffed? MAFS editing.
Not chuffed.
Not chuffed.
Immediately,
I would say chuffed because I feel like I can't.
And that's what's funny, right? Like you never know what edit you're gonna get. You really don't know. Even after filming, I thought I was gonna get a good edit, and I thought Duncan was gonna get a shit edit.
Seeing Reunion, I was like, it's gonna be fair.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be fair, like up until the very end.
And then it would be like,
I remember talking to Mel and she's like, I think it's going to be very controversial and it's going to go backwards and forwards.
Yep.
No, we're all wrong.
Sky Suites, chuffed or not chuffed?
Chuffed.
Sky Suites was nice.
I loved Sky Suites. Loved the pool, loved the gym. I loved our apartment. Every apartment was tailored differently.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what's funny is that because we watched Love Triangle, right?
Me too. We loved
Love Triangle. Yeah. And we watched it while it was airing. And we had the same fucking bedspread as Patty and Lisa.
Yes.
And I said, is this the exact same one? And she's like, I believe it is.
Yeah.
The
same styling team. Yeah,
same styling team, same everything. So
even in the houses, I saw like same artwork and stuff. I'll be like,
all
what
the fucking
hell?
same. All the same.
It was
Repurposed.
literally the same producers as Love Triangle.
Yeah.
So it was all the same.
Yeah.
Same.
Love it.
The last one. Having a child.
Chuffed. We are so chuffed about Leon and my child.
I love it. The
honestly,
accentuation
iconic.
Of child.
Yes.
And I would try and get your accent right as well. I'd be like, child.
I have a child. I love it. I love all of the
so
memes.
good.
I'm so here for all the memes. I'm so here for the remix of a song that somebody made that's like,
stop it.
Child, give me attention. It was the best. Honestly, here for it. You can get your sweatshirts, link in bio.
Love it.
But yeah, I'm obsessed. I forgot everything today.
No, I should have got your I Need Attention shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get Alyssa's merch via the link in her bio and they are great.
They're
Even
so
get the
good.
car, I love the car sticker.
Yeah, the car.
Whoever
I have it on my car as well.
Good.
No, I made one for my car and I have it on my car. So people are probably like, you fucking wanker.
It's so funny because I feel like during filming, like I didn't think chuffed would be such an iconic line that I said, and like everyone loved that. And I was like, I don't know why I said that and where, like,
but I love it.
Love it. Like I don't know how that happened.
Yeah,
I have a child. At no point in filming did we think these little moments would be so pivotal.
No,
and. Yeah, I never thought these little moments would be so a thing.
And also, like, the reason why I said child is because I didn't want to say Leon's name on TV. And I didn't want to say son because like, that's too hard. So it's like child. Chuffed. I'm so chuffed to have a child. He's the cheekiest.
He's
craziest.
So,
so funny.
Chaotic.
So chaotic. I was voice noting Tahnee yesterday. And in the background, you just hear Leon like slamming the fridge because his pasta wasn't ready enough. He's like, I want my pasta. He gets angry like
Leon,
me.
Relax.
I'm very conscious. I'm a conscious parent. I do. I like to do. what's it called? Gentle parenting. But sometimes I'm just like,
fuck. No, he seems like a lot of hard work.
But he's such a good kid,
Yeah,
honestly.
he is beautiful.
He's a really, really good kid. And I'm really lucky that me and his dad have a really good relationship.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I think it's really important for Leon. So, yeah.
Yeah, love that.
Hats off.
Okay, I think that's all we
Oh my
have
God,
time
is
for
that
today,
it? Oh my
guys.
God, time.
Wow.
We've been filming for this feels like a set on
honestly, like this has been a lot.
Dinner party.
I feel
Is it dark outside?
Honestly,
is it the sunlight?
we've chatted about a lot of stuff. Really, really keen to get your feedback. I feel like it's gonna ruffle a few feathers, but I felt really, really honored Alyssa came on here and, wanted to chat about things because I really wanted to give her that space to feel comfortable. And from day one, we've been on this journey, and I think, I'm so happy she's finally been able to speak up about, her side of things and actually be listened to. And I hope you guys can, take that in, make up your mind from all of that, and just, treat everyone with respect. I think this is just your truth. Obviously, we know there's 3 sides to the truth, but this is your story, and I'm glad that you felt comfortable coming on my podcast.
Thank you. I've been wanting to do it for ages, and I'm just like, how do I do it? Who do I do it with? I'm not going to go to these media outlets. And Tahnee, perfect angel.
I love how you say my name. I feel like everyone's like Tahnee.
Yeah, I know. They're like, what are you saying? Who is that?
Because every time you post like a story and it's like we do the captions, it says Tony.
Yeah.
It always shows up as Tony.
Is that how you say it? Tahnee?
No, all my American friends say like exactly how you say it. Yeah, but it's Tahnee.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, so thank you for joining me on Chuffed. Hopefully it's not your last time.
It definitely won't be.
And make sure to follow Alyssa on Instagram. She has 2 accounts. You want to give yourself a shout out?
Alyssa_Barmonde. Also, people say my name wrong a lot of the time. It's Barmonde. People are like Barmonde, and it's like the fish. Like barramundi, but Barmonde. Alyssa_Barmonde, and then my cake content is Alyssa Bakes Cakes.
Love it. And you can follow at ChuffedPod on Instagram and TikTok as well. And
subscribe,
subscribe,
share.
all the above. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.